We honestly haven't spent a lot of time talking about Brock Purdy's contract negotiation on this channel like we maybe typically would have other negotiations of the past. It really is kind of an interesting thought process to really try to just involve yourself in every little thing that comes out in a negotiation because it's crystal clear, as we've seen with most of the high profile negotiations with the 49ers, typically takes a long time. So we kind of have just stepped back from this Purdy negotiation because based on kind of the new direction of the 49ers and most likely what Brock Purdy and his agent is angling for, it does seem to kind of show itself as being somewhat far apart. And I think this newest, you know, comment by Mike Garafolo of the NFL Network kind of feels like it's coming through from a specific place. Like he's not just saying it as an opinion. He's almost kind of echoing something that has been passed on to him. That's my perception of it. And I talked about this in the video where I posted this yesterday, about the like where I actually kind of pulled the clip so you could listen to the whole thing. This happens all the time, especially in negotiations, and you saw it really pick up at the end of that, Brandon Ayuk negotiation. There was a lot of source offs going off, during those negotiations, so it's very typical. It's honestly, like, very standard operating procedure, for messages to come through certain media sources, whether via the front office or via the agent. So the way this is coming across to me as this is a message that is coming through. It could or could not, but this is just how I'm reading it. And you can see in the quote here, Garofalo saying Brock wants his respect and he wants money that's in line with those other quarterbacks. Those other quarterbacks are Trevor Lawrence, Jordan Love, and Dak Prescott. The big thing that he was talking about was getting Brock Purdy to a contract that is just significantly lower than Dak Prescott. I had mentioned yesterday in the video that the Josh Allen contract is going to be a fascinating one compared to the situation because I believe that Josh Allen getting $55 million per year, and we know this is how these things are discussed in the media and with fans, is the APY, that kind of changed the narrative a little bit. It kind of was like, well, if Josh Allen's taking 55 on average per year, then maybe Brock will take a little bit less, and it would make sense, right? Because I think we all believe that Josh Allen is definitely one of the few elite quarterbacks in this league. I think most of us can rationalize that Brock Purdy is a very, very good quarterback. But again, for me to call someone elite, it has to be done over an extended period of time. And we're just not there yet with Brock. He could eventually one day become that, but I wouldn't say he's that right now. But that doesn't mean he's not a very, very good quarterback. And what I think is kind of coming to fruition is this is going to be a challenging negotiation because I don't believe Garofalo would just say this. I don't believe at all that Garofalo's like, oh yeah, Josh Allen got 55. Brock wants 58, 56, and give all the reasoning behind it, talking about the percentage of the cap space that franchise quarterbacks typically take up between 21 to I think it was 21 to 26% of the cap. And he was saying, like, well, if Brock were to do that, if he went on the high side, he'd be making 68 million per year. And so it really comes across as Garofalo was saying this for a reason. It's not just him throwing something out there. Um, and so that brings up, I think, the next conversation of the 49ers are clearly in a different place than they were prior to this offseason. It is abundantly clear. We've not only heard it from players, but from the general manager. And repeatedly that the 49ers are in a different financial state of mind. I think it was John Lynch who called it a reset, where they're resetting. So, are you resetting with one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league potentially? Or are you resetting from a different perspective? The 49ers signed Mac Jones. They have a quarterback that Kyle Shanahan believes in and believes can be a good quarterback and has untapped potential. Very similarly to, I think, what he had done with Sam Darnold, bringing Sam Darnold in to compete with Brock. Now, I know a lot of fans say that wasn't a competition, but out of Sam Darnold's mouth, he said it was a competition on a podcast. So, I think every step of the way, it has been it's been interesting. It really, really has. And I don't I've said all along, I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that the 49ers and Brock Purdy's reps are just going to get it done and get paid. And we move on. I think there's a legitimate negotiation that is going on where these two sides are far apart. And based on being far apart, who knows what's going to happen and how they're going to be able to adjust and the situation moving forward, because it's very tricky. It's a very, like, negotiations, I think, have become a main part of the 49ers offseason ecosystem. But I can guarantee you that most fans would love to never have to talk about contract negotiations, have to kind of speculate where negotiations are, have to try to make sense of all these talking heads, speaking on behalf of the agent or the front office, and like reading through the between the lines and reading the tea leaves. And like, I guarantee you no fan is like, yeah, let's see what's going on in the negotiation today. But the problem is that the 49ers constantly find themselves in this realm, and it forces the people who cover this team, who talk about this team daily, to talk about those things. And so that's why we're talking about it. And the fact that he's continuing to push, like, oh, he wants, right below Dak, and he could still do things. The team can still be competitive. They can still make these certain situations. And you've heard from guys like Tim Kawakami speaking about the 49ers organization, saying that they didn't need to make half these moves that they made. They didn't need to cut Malik Collins. They didn't need to cut Leonard Floyd. They just did it. It didn't save anything against the cap. There was really no, like, cost benefit. It was, they just made that move. And so the 49ers are clearly being very prudent with how they're going about these cost expenditures, because, to their credit, they have also gone above and beyond in this category since Kyle and John have taken over. So they're taking a clear there's a clear, like, U-turn. Like, they're like, all right, we did it this way, and we knew that when it was time to pay the quarterback, that we have to change direction. There's a different way to build when you have to pay a quarterback, and especially a quarterback who seems or appears, according to Mike Garafolo, to be wanting to paid above $55 million per year on average. So it just comes across to me, just the whole thing, all of it, everything, that this is going to be a challenging negotiation. And who knows what the outcome's going to be? I have no idea. I really don't. I wish I could tell you that, oh, everything's going to be fine. And, I wish, I wouldn't be telling you that how I'm truly feeling if I said that. And as you guys know, I started saying this in the season. Whenever this conversation would get brought up about Brock's negotiation, everyone's like, "Oh, it's gonna be so easy. We're just gonna get it done. He's a great guy. He's gonna take less than he should because he's Mr. Irrelevant." And He's gonna take a hometown discount, and I just push back. I've pushed back every step of the way. I'm like, I don't think this is gonna be easy negotiation. I don't think it's gonna get done quickly. And I think everything that we're continuing to see is continuing to align towards that. Now, the hope is they get it done sooner rather than later, but I don't see anything that's indicating they're close to getting a deal done. And you know, the draft is about a month away. And to me, that is going to be a huge, huge deadline in regards to really being able to determine what Brock's future looks like. Because Brock won't be traded after the draft. I'm not saying he's going to be traded. I'm just saying hypothetically, this is the time period that if those conversations were to occur and those were to happen, they would all happen prior or leading up to the draft. After the draft, I don't think teams are making trades for quarterbacks or for other players typically. Um, Now we've seen, BA almost got traded right before training camp. So things do happen that go beyond that. But I would say that if Brock is still on this team after the draft, I think that increases his chances significantly of getting a contract. But again, I think what we've heard through the media and what we continue to hear from the 49ers perspective is, well, if you don't like our deal, well, you'll just play the final year on your rookie contract, which is 5 million and some change. And I believe if you really look at it, if Brock were to play on his rookie deal, he would still be making less than his backup, Mac Jones. Mac Jones would be making more than him. So I find it interesting that Mac makes just a little bit more than Brock. If Brock were to play on his rookie deal, I find that to be very interesting element of this all. But again, it's all interesting, and there's a lot of speculation, and there's a lot of like guessing, and that's what negotiations are. They're challenging. They're challenging for people who are fans of the 49ers, who just want to see the 49ers win football games. And it's important to remember that in the off season, it's more than that. It's a business. It's a lot of cutthroat roster moves and business decisions that will impact the future of the team. So it's a fascinating situation, but we'll see how it goes. I'm curious to know what you guys think about this whole situation. So let me know in the comments below. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.